him to talk to you. How does he talk to you? When you pray? How else can God talk to you? When you look up to the sky? Yeah, look up to the sky and say hello. Yeah, that's another way too. Sleeping. There's a story in the Bible about a little boy named Samuel, and while he was sleeping, God called him. That's another way. And through the fish, yeah. There's all sorts of stories about fishing, especially fishing for people, right? Or you can dream about it. There are lots of stories in Matthew about dreams. Yeah, and talking to people through dreams. We've read some of them because of it being so close to Christmas, and so we've had a lot of that we've done. But there's all sorts of different ways that God calls to us in our lives, that we have to be kind of attentive and kind of looking out for those times when he calls to us, because it's not always the same every time. And it's not always something big and exotic. You know, it might be something very small and very little, and like sleeping, or like looking up to the sky, or in prayer, and those things that we have to be attentive. Or a cloud, yeah. So there's all sorts of ways. All sorts of ways that God can call to us. So our job is to get those skills down that we can use in order to figure that out and take that up in our lives. Thank you. So now today I'm going to ask all of you, where is God's call in this gospel? Where do you see God's call? In what specifically, though? In what part of the gospel do we see God's call? So it may be sprinkled throughout, but what is that everywhere? I'm trying to get us to hip into that attentiveness. Because sometimes I think when we look at this, especially this call narrative, we think about it as just us. So I'm trying to challenge you to get a little bit more further out, because we look at the fishermen, and that's an obvious one, right? God calls the fishermen, and they immediately follow. How else does God call us then? What's that? When he calls the men who are fishing, that's one part in the gospel. What else? Went through the country proclaiming, and this crowd follows them, because after this we get the Sermon on the Mount. Yes, absolutely. That's another place. Is poor John called? Is John called in this gospel? I mean, remember the whole birth narrative of John? We get John the Baptist to Zechariah. It's revealed to him that his wife is going to get pregnant, and he doesn't quite believe it, and so he's struck dumb. He can't even speak until John gets to be named, and they're going, oh no, you can't name him that because that name's never been in the family. And that's when he can speak again. So John has been called, and yet we're reading this story, and John is arrested. And is that part of the call? Can arrest be call? Yeah, because it gives us a place to reflect on God. It gives us a hard place to reflect on God. But man, that some of those hard places are the places where we really need to reflect on call and what God is looking at in our lives. It's a hard place to be, but it's one of those places where God can call us again. So whether it's being in prison, or whether it's Israel itself being in Egypt, and is called up out of Egypt to be a people for a specific purpose, or even in Isaiah, where we get that quote from the prophet in Matthew. We get that whole quote, and we're supposed to know that connection to Isaiah, and not only that, but God's call to Israel, because Israel is to be that light to the nations. There is call in that. There's a call to each and every one of us to understand what it means to be that light to the nations. And fishermen were in their everyday work, and they had to see that call in their everyday. What does it mean to fish for people? I mean, that's a question that they must have had. That call in their everyday life, that inbreaking of God into what is everyday and surrounding us. Because a lot of defining call is really being attuned to that. And it's really trying to exercise the spiritual muscle and trying to figure out God's call in our life. Because God calls to us in difficult situations, and God calls to us in the everyday, most plain thing. It doesn't have to be this light from heaven and, ooh, I get it. A lot of times it's just in everyday encounters with everyday people. And God calls to us. And part of the spiritual discipline of listening to that is what we're supposed to know and we're supposed to be taught. But we don't come in a lot of times to church and get that, do we? We get this big call of the disciples and that they immediately followed, and we're supposed to know what that call means. So let's talk about some of the tools today in discerning God's call on us, because that means being attentive. It means having that extra listening that we do. And so one of the things that we can use to help us with that is a thing to go through every day at the end of the day, to look back over our whole day and go, where was God most present? Where do I feel God being most present in my day? Where was my hardest struggle and I felt the furthest from God? Because a lot of times that can connect us up to exactly what we need to be doing. Because once we feel that little break of, ooh, that was really a tough spot in my day. Boy, wouldn't it have been nice if that person had acted that way, or there had been another thing. But sometimes it's on us. What is our duty and role in that? When I reacted to that person, was I spiritually free or spiritually unfree? In other words, when I feel the furthest from God, that's when I'm the least free. And I've got to connect in again to being that spiritually free. And that means questioning myself. How do I look at that myself? And is God calling me to change how I react to that so that I can be spiritually free? So that I can connect into that. So that's all a part of it. All of this gospel exposes that to us, whether it's John in prison or the disciples at the sea or the crowds that follow or this piece of prophetic witness. All of those witness to that call in our lives. And so if we're honest about that daily, if we take up this spiritual practice of asking those questions at the end of the day, we will begin to attune ourselves to what God's call is in our lives. And it's important because God calls us all of our lives long. Israel's call didn't end in Egypt. Israel's call didn't end in Babylon in captivity. Israel's call doesn't end with Rome and empire. Jesus calls them to something new. And they go about spreading that all over the countryside. And we can too. We need to be attuned to that. We need to take the time to be quiet. We need the time to say when we rub up against different things that we don't think are right, and we need to question that a little bit more deeper and sit with it a little bit more. We need the time to question our fears and what those are, And are they really real fears? Or are they coming out from somewhere else trying to defeat us in our call forward, in our faith, in our steps on the path? It's almost like a little GPS guide. But it's God asking us to attune ourselves to that, to be present and fully ask those questions, and to dare to see where we are on the road, and to dare to take off and follow. Will you come and follow me?